Hello, hello. Thank you for waking up and shining on with us today for Project Bring Me to Life podcast. My name is Shannon Shine and I am your host. And today I am interviewing a really amazing artist. His name is Gavin Gonzo Gerundo and he does some beautiful line work. He's working on a variety of different pieces right now. And one of his favorite projects is his Zodiac series. So we talk a little bit about his Zodiac series and live painting and his experience live painting and a variety of other artistic things. So stay tuned and learn more about Gavin, and thanks for tuning in with us. If you enjoy this podcast, remember that you can help support us in doing more podcasts and projects for you in the future by donating to Project Bring Me to Life or becoming a Patreon member. If you do not have monetary funds to donate, you can also help us out by sharing on your favorite social media. So again, thanks for tuning in and stay tuned for our interview with Gavin.
For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Welcome to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of that, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Awakening humanity to spirituality and higher consciousness.
Hello, it is Shannon Shine here with Project Bring Me to Life. Thanks for waking up and shining on with me today. And today we have a really awesome artist that I am excited to be chatting with and sharing their story. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do and where you come from?
Yeah, my name is Gavin Gonzo Gerundo, 3G. I am an artist from Cincinnati. I mostly work with acrylics on my handmade black canvases. So I do that. I'm based in Cincinnati, Ohio, like I said, so I do a lot of music festivals. That's definitely my main outlet for getting my work out there and getting inspiration at the same time. So mostly I've worked in music festivals like Resonance, Mad Tea Party, Workout, and I've been doing that for about 2 years. About to start the third festival season that I'm going to be a part of, as an artist, and looking forward to a lot of really cool stuff coming up.
Awesome. Well, I actually believe I met you at Mad Tea Party Jam, and you were live painting, and you just had this really unique style that we're going to talk about here in a little bit, and it just grabbed my attention. So I'm really excited that you've joined us here on Project Bring Me to Life. I always love getting Mad Tea Party fam in our interviews. But what I'm curious about is what made you decide to be an artist? I know a lot of us in this awakening age, we're trying to find our passions, but what makes your passion art? Or would you say that art is your passion?
I mean, art's always been a huge part of my life, and it's always been like something that I felt like I needed to do. And I've done it in one facet or another. It wasn't really until recently that I thought about it as something, you always hear about like starving artists, and growing up, I always heard like, oh, that's great, you want to be an artist, but you got to find something else to do. And, I believed that for a while, still creating as kind of more of a side thing. And then once I started getting involved in the music festival scene, I did it for, my first festival was in 2011, and I went to Electric Forest, which is, huge festival, huge production value. There's a lot of stuff going on. And I fell into that, and I immediately just fell in love with the whole festival scene. And after going as an attendee for a couple years, I kind of started to see all the people, like the clockwork behind the stuff that makes all this magic come together. And so I started really just like volunteering at music festivals, and that kind of allowed me to go to a bunch of music festivals and kind of become a part of the culture in that way. And I really, like, after volunteering for a while, I started to figure out different things that kind of drew me to them that I would maybe want to be a part of. And it was funny. I did just about everything else. I did some like lights and sound production. I did just hospitality, picking up trash, everything that you could possibly do. And it was at Rootwire 2013, and I saw all the live painters set up there. And I was just like, totally blown away, and just seeing these people, these artists that were creating, and they were traveling around. Like, that was the first place where it was really like a huge focus of the festival. And, I saw those people, and it was so inspiring, like really got me back into kind of the magic side of art. I'd been going to school for design. That was actually how I tried to justify, getting a real job that was still semi-artistic. So I was drawing toasters and microwaves and all sorts of stuff for homework, which was just like, it was artistic, but it wasn't art like I'd seen it. Like, I see art as this like magical, creative thing. Not so much as, there's definitely a place for that design, but my passion always lied with like the pure creative energy behind it. Just creating from the soul doesn't have to necessarily have a purpose or be a thing. It's just like creating something. It's,
putting that pen to paper and making something out of nothing, it seems like, is the magic of creating as an artist. And I like hearing that story, because I have a similar background. I went to school, I left my hometown and went to Pittsburgh and went for graphic design and like multimedia, wanted to do special effects and stuff on computers. And I was like, oh yeah, that'll be kind of like my real job, so I can paint and do my thing. But being at a computer and like even doing the projects the school gave me, I was just like so bored. Like, yeah, drawing toasters as well. I find ways around that.
I started doing fashion design, actually, because I'd always had an interest in, like clothing as art and clothing as expression, kind of. So I started with that, and it was like, it was like kind of still in line, and I still do have a passion for like fashion design. But it, the industry that was a part of, like that's the thing about working in the festival industry as opposed to like a professional design thing, like professional graphic design firm or like a fashion design firm, God forbid, working for Coach or something. It's that pure creative energy that I was talking about, just like creation for the sake of creation. There's nothing like howdy about it necessarily, where it's got this huge industry behind it. It's about creating beauty and like there's more feeling to it, fine art versus design.
For sure. I agree. You just need to have that free flow with it. And I enjoy your style. So let's kind of like break down and talk about your style a little bit. First, what's the medium you use? What's your medium of choice?
So the first thing I should talk about is my canvas. And I try and use like upcycled materials as much as possible. So what I do for my canvases is I get old silk screens that have the screen busted out. So it's essentially, this really nice wooden frame with a broken screen on it that screen printing companies essentially can't use anymore. So they normally just throw them out. So working through those companies, I get old silk screen frames, and then I paint on pleather and leather as my only choice in medium. It's so I started painting on jackets when I first did live painting. Like, I would take leather jackets and stretch them over canvases basically and paint on them, and then it's like this wearable art thing.
It's that fashion design.
And I really yeah, exactly. It all kind of came full circle. It still is. But I really just like the way that the paint flowed on it. It's such a smooth surface. I always was bothered by canvases, how they have this like, they have that framework, that kind of grid texture to them where you can see all the different fibers. And, while you can gesso that out and make it smooth in a variety of different methods, I kind of just really like the feel of leather. And I mostly use like colored backgrounds, so I won't start with a white background. My theory behind that's like kind of, white is like the brightest light. So to be starting from that, you're essentially putting darkness into the painting, whereas starting from a black background, every stroke you make is like pulling light out of the darkness. It's like capturing that light on something.
That's awesome. I really like thinking of it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's And that plays a big role in my style too, like, especially with the pointillism aspects. It's about capturing light. And I've kind of really, the more and more I get into art as, this pure thing in my life, the more I kind of start to see it like that.
That's super cool. So what do you use? Acrylic? Do you use marker? Do you use like the paint marker, or what's your?
Yeah, I use all paint pens. I've gone through a couple brands, but I've settled on one Molotow, and it's a company out of Denmark, and they have really nice paint pens. It's all acrylic, basically acrylics mixed with water in pens with felt tips. So, like I said, I have that design background, so like a lot of technical drawing skills. So, because of the paint marker, it kind of lends itself to that drawing style anyways, like more of an illustrative style as opposed to like a painterly style.
Right. It's got a lot of line work, which is what fascinates me with your work. You have so many straight lines and different angles. And I'm looking at your Mars Ram piece that we're going to talk about in detail here. But just the amount of dots and straight lines and the symmetry to it, it has to be almost drawn, because you can't do, I feel like, I've been trying at least, that even symmetry with a paintbrush like you can with those flowing paint pens. And do you do any of your art in like brush, or is it all just the acrylic paint pen?
I've definitely used touches of brushes in them. I definitely stick mostly to the paint pens, but especially with collaborations, like doing a lot of collaborations, that kind of causes you to push your style a little bit and work with other people's techniques. So I've definitely picked up brushes, and I have a couple older paintings that are with brush. But as soon as I picked up the paint pen, it was kind of just like bam, and it just clicked. And I actually picked those up through a before I used brushes, and then right before I started doing live painting, I picked up the paint pen because I was doing a collaboration with my buddy, and I was like, oh, let me try that out. And from there it was kind of like, I don't know, once you find your medium, it's kind of like you can really dive into it, Right. Like, I don't want to say like you just stick with that. Like, I definitely don't feel like I have to just use paint pens. Like, I'm totally comfortable using brushes, but it's more so about trying to push the medium. And I've really just liked what I've been able to how it's been able to evolve, like just using that. I mean, even in the last year, the amount that I've been able to push the paint pens and different, pulling different stuff out, and it really expanding the style. It's just been really fun to explore.
Yeah, I really enjoy it too. And what's the name, or how would you explain your style? Is there a title for it?
The simplest way to put it is that it's lines and dots. And that's essentially what every painting is. If you look closely, you'll see everything there is either a line or a dot. And that's part of the drawing style, but it's got a lot of it's all kind of about, so lines is kind of like the movement, and it's how the flow of the object, where your eye goes, how the piece moves. That's what the lines set up. And then I was talking about earlier, how the dots are kind of like points of light. So I create this movement with the lines, and then afterwards I go through and the dots are like light bouncing off of that object.
Awesome. I really, when I look at your pieces, I really see like all of the elements of art, and that's where my like art background comes in. Because they always ask you when you're in art school, they're like, "What are the elements and the principles of art?" And you're like, "Oh, it's like line and symmetry and pattern and rhythm and negative space, positive space." And you really have all of that in your art. Sometimes when I look at a piece, I can't see those things. I'm just like, okay, I guess in a long shot, this is their pattern or this is their line work, but they're just kind of creating a piece. But with yours, there's a lot of elements of art, and you can see your kind of like your art school background in it, which you don't see in a lot of live painting and kind of what I call the festival art. And you mentioned live painting a lot. So what is the live painting experience to you? Since you're not sitting there with like a paintbrush, it's different. You're there with markers and people are actually watching you draw and seeing the technical side of it. Explain how that feels, or like what live painting is for someone who may not know.
I mean, for me, and it really has, as I've gotten deeper and deeper into it, it's become a huge part of my creative process, and it actually ties back into the whole lines and dots thing, so for me, listening to this music, there's this huge, I've always gotten my creative energy from music. Music's always been something that's, just really touched me as a person, and something, that's made me feel. And so when I do it with this other incredibly personal thing of painting with me, it's, so you're listening to this music and there's this just like beautiful flow and rhythm, or not flow, rhythm, but, like a flow, like the sounds, how all the different sounds create, different timbres, create different moods, and they kind of flow you through the song and flow you through the moment. And that's kind of what the lines represent. And then the dot work is like the rhythm of it too. It's especially sitting here and putting it out dot by dot by dot by dot. When I really like tap into that rhythm, it's like a deeply meditative thing for me. And it's really it's kind of funny because I'd say like that's when I'm in my like calmest meditating state. And it's when most people are like, it's kind of like a very high energy atmosphere where there's a lot going on, and it's kind of hard to focus on one thing, just because there's so much going on. But for me, it kind of just really, it really just puts me into a zone. And, so when I sit there and listen to this music, just hours go by, there's nothing better than setting up, sun goes down, go down and set up, especially like at a festival, and just for 10 hours, just tap into the music. And it's great because all that's going on, and then at the same time, I have, people from all over the festival that can observe and kind of see stuff as it evolves, and talk to a lot of people, and people have great ideas sometimes. There's a lot of people who will come up and they say, I like your art, and kind of just leave it at that, and it's like, all right, that's great. But then there's also, there's a lot of creative people within the music festival scene, so a lot of times there's just like really people have really good things to say about it. They could like I always like it when people can come up and say, like, they'll say I like it, and I'll be like, what do you like about it?
What's your favorite part? Like why did you decide to come and talk to me about my piece? That's what I always wonder when I'm live painting, is there's all these artists, but like certain people are very drawn to specific artists and their pieces.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, why? Why do you see that? Because, a big thing about doing art is like, art is this thing that makes people feel, and that's like really a pure purpose to it. And I want to see how I can tap into that and how I can make people be drawn to something. What, the global hive mind thinks is beautiful.
I like that. I'm kind of sitting here scrolling through your Gavin Gonzo art on Facebook, where you have a lot of your different pieces, and it looks like latest pieces. But I kind of scrolled back and just was looking for a piece that really made me kind of do what you were saying, as you were saying that like it drew my attention, and I'm like, man, that was something I would go and check out. And I feel like the music must really inspire that energy. I know when I'm live painting, it's the music around me really inspires my flow. And the piece that drew my attention, it's called Time, and it looks like it was painted during Papadozio set. Can you explain maybe that piece to me a little bit?
Yeah, so that one, I started that at the Papadozio 10-year anniversary show, and that was at Madison Theater. And so that piece I started off, and it was kind of just like it was a really sort of a fast piece, to be honest, but it was just flowing off the concept of time. It was, I drew in the hand in the middle, and I kind of had the concept of the hand with the pendulum, and that was all I really wanted to start with, and just like, the passing of time, which, music, it's trying to capture that music. I always think of it like music decorates the time and art decorates the space, and when you connect them together like that, So I drew in the hand with the pendulum, and then from there it was just basically I put in 12 symbols in a circle, like 12 points in a circle, and that was really just flowing off of that, just building off of that simple circle with 12 points and accentuating that and showing all the ways that the time flows and overlaps. And then another part of my live painting thing is I do color changing spectrum lights where they'll go through the colors. So that piece actually, the pendulum at the bottom in the light, it swings back and forth in an RGB cycle. So it's kind of this piece all about like time and motion and capturing that.
Really, I really like it. I think the reason it caught my attention the most is I'm looking through a lot of your pictures, and most of your subjects seem to be animals. And I know that you're working on a zodiac series, but that piece it wasn't an animal. It had this crystal, and I'm all about crystals, and just the line work and the dot work, and it was really interesting to me. So I wanted to showcase that piece for a moment. Let's talk about your zodiac series. That's one of your main projects you seem to be working on right now. Tell me how that came along and a little bit more about it.
So Zodiac series started, I had a friend of mine actually who he was interested in a Leo piece, and he talked to me about that. And I like the idea, any artist likes a commission because that means food on the table. So originally it started as that, and I thought, if I'm going to do a single piece of this Zodiac series, then I'm really going to do it. Like, I don't want to just do a piece and then have it be this thing where it's like an unfinished series necessarily. Like, I want to really focus my attention on this. And, a big thing with me is always like, I feel like I need to push myself, and kind of keep myself constantly evolving. And so I started off, I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to start off with my own Zodiac sign. And so that's where Mars Ram comes in. That's the Aries piece of the Zodiac series. So I did that one at workout, and it was really just like this hugely empowering thing for me. Like paint, it became like a self-portrait almost, and just putting that energy into it. Over the course of the weekend, I put 90 hours into the piece. So I was really, I was there a couple days before, but I was really, really just busting it out between there and the time when I got home. And it was, finishing that, it was a big thing. And then working on the next one, I decided that I was going to bring in another artist to collaborate, like, of that sign. Because I was like, I've never particularly dived into astrology. So I didn't really, I didn't want to make assumptions about these zodiac signs by myself necessarily. I wanted to like actually have some input from that sign. So started off and did the Scorpio piece with Mike Hancock, who I had actually met at workout. It was a Scorpio, so we did that together at Hyperion and Resonance. And from there, it was kind of like this thing, and I've just basically decided like each piece is going to be a collaboration. I'm going to get input with other artists of that sign, and so I'm five pieces in after the Aries piece that I did by myself. So I have half of them done, and they've been collaborations with people who I've been really good friends with, and then people who I've sought out for the piece specifically, and kind of just gotten to know like the personality of that artist. And it's been really funny. It's been like a revealing thing working with artists of each different sign, because working with them's kind of, it evolves into this painting, and then the ways that I see that the painting reflects their characteristics and their archetype has just been like, it's been really revealing and just really interesting to see develop. So I've got 6 more, and I'm curious to learn about this, because I'm kind of learning about each sign as I go, and looking into the symbology and looking into personality, and it's a really interesting process. And I mean, especially as far as pushing myself, like collaborating with other artists is one of the greatest ways that you can learn. Everybody has their own ways of doing things and their own ways of portraying things. So like seeing how somebody works and working with them, and really getting to understand each other's visual language and style, and working with that. And not only does it push me, but I think it pushes the other artists too. And that's a huge part of it. Is kind of, as the first piece represented, it's about growth and really coming into yourself and taking shit on and pushing yourself, trying new things, moving forward.
For sure. You mentioned collabing. So who are some people that you've collabed with, or people that have inspired you?
The person I've collabed with the most is definitely Vince DiBiaso, and he's another artist out of Cincinnati. And we actually shared a studio for a couple of months, but we kind of just, we started just by doing a ton of shows together and became really good friends through the process. And he's got a very painterly style, and he's kind of just, he's all self-taught. So the way that he does things is, it's really interesting, seeing this totally different approach to things. So he was the one that really got me comfortable with collaborating with people. And I definitely, I'm working on the Virgo piece with him right now. We're in the pretty late stages of it, and we're going to be working on it this weekend at the winter workout. So that's when that piece will really come together in the final stages. But he's been a big help as far as collabing, and definitely my favorite person to collab with. But then, I've done 5 of the other Zodiac pieces that are collaborations. I just did Aquarius, and the piece is called Aquario. I haven't posted any finished pictures of it yet, but I did a little live streaming video of it on Facebook. So there's snippets of it out there. But I did that with him. Then I've worked with Leslie Canita from Leslie Lovelight. We did the Leo piece together. I worked with Emily Cooper. She's an artist out of Columbus. And Mike Hancock and I did the Scorpio pieces I was talking about. And then I've got people ranging from, I'm going to be doing the Pisces piece with my best friend from high school. And he lives out in LA now, and he's actually from design school. I did the first year of design school with him before I was out of there. And then from there to artists I've known for a while, I have a couple of the collabs left with some Cincinnati artists like Amanda Munch. And I've got other collabs coming up with people who I've met entirely through the live painting scene. I'm going to be doing the Capricorn piece with John Gay, who's a festival artist who is kind of newer on the scene than the people who have been established for a while. And I really look up to him and his style and what he's been able to do with his art. So there's people that have gone from anywhere from just being a big part of my life as a person to being a big part of my life artistically to as far as being an inspiration.
That's really awesome. I love hearing when artists collab with each other, because sometimes I feel like people start competing in the art scene, and when the people are collabing rather than competing or trying to say, oh, my art's better, or this, that, or the other, it means a lot to the community to just see these artists inspiring each other and growing and feeding off each other's styles and inspiration. So I love hearing that. And you mentioned Leslie, who was actually our Project Bring Me to Life Crystal Chalice Award Artist of the Year for 2016. And she came to Crystal Chalice, and I actually have one of her Leo paintings because I'm also a Leo, and I think I have an interesting story for you about my Zodiac series when we're done this interview. But Leslie is awesome, and I just want to mention to anyone that's listening to this interview on Project Bring Me to Life that we are taking nominations for Crystal Chalice Awards, and Gavin is an artist, so he would be in the running for Artist of the Year or Masterpiece of the Year or any of the other art topic chalices. So if you're listening and you check out his art and you really like it, send us a nomination or some information or just feedback that you took the time, and I'm sure Gavin would love that. You have a website you just released. Can you give that a plug and tell us where to find you online and how other people can check out your work?
Yeah, so the website is gavingonzo.com, and I just launched it maybe a week ago. So it was built, a friend of mine, Prismatic, the one who actually introduced me to paint pens, he's the one who helped me build it. But we basically built it in WordPress. It was a really interesting experience, but simple website. The big purpose is just to showcase my art and, put everything out there in a clean format. So on there, you can check out all my pieces that I have completed in high quality. You can post this stuff on Instagram and it's a square, or you can post it on Facebook and it kills the resolution. So if you want to see some really high quality images, that's the place to check those out.
That's
I've got about 25
GavinGonzo.com?
pieces. Yeah, GavinGonzo.com.
Cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I've got my tour on there coming up as well. So that kind of shows you like where I'll be if I'm going to be in your city, which I hope I am. That'd be awesome. And then there's a little contact page if you have any questions or want to talk to me about anything. I'm always very available to talk about my art. I love talking to people and pushing creativity in the world. So yeah.
Cool. Where are some of the cities and places and festivals? Where are we going to see you this summer or before summer?
Well, before summer, I'm about to leave for my first tour, and I'm doing a 17-day tour with Aqueous. And so that's going to be starting off in Kansas and then moving through to Colorado, be in Fort Collins and Denver, Boulder, Steamboat Springs, and then moving back through Wisconsin and Nebraska, and I'll be in St. Louis for that tour, and then back to Bloomington, Indiana. That's the final stop before I come home. And then after that...
And that's all next month, right?
Yeah, that's February 7th through the 24th. So I'll be on the road for that. I'll be in Columbus this weekend for winter workout. Then as far as March goes, there's quite a few Papadozio shows that I'm planning on going on. I don't know if I'm going to do a full tour with them necessarily, but I'm definitely planning on hitting a lot of the stops of their spring Pattern Integrities tour. They've always been a favorite band of mine. And after that, I'm definitely looking forward to a very active festival season. I'm planning on pretty much being on the road the whole summer. Going to be coming out with some kind of mobile gallery / mobile bed arrangement.
Nice.
But I'll be everywhere from, so far I'm confirmed with Mad Tea Party. I'll definitely be there. And Resonance. I'll be at Paradise on the Point, and I'm sure the Workout. And I'm looking forward to doing summer camp again, hopefully. That was a fun one. But those are mostly the regulars, and then I'm really looking to get out west. I'm hoping to do like Sonic Bloom and some of the Lucidity festivals, maybe Lightning in a Bottle. I've also been looking into the UNS Festival. There's a lot of really good bass music producers who are on that, including a bunch of people from my hometown of Cincinnati, just the Midwest area. So I'm definitely looking to get into the West Coast scene and check that out a little bit. I've heard great things. So I'll always have my local festivals here that I love, but always looking to expand.
For sure. I'm looking forward to seeing you at a Mad Tea Party again. That's one of our festivals. It's like our main festival. We don't get to travel as much as we would like to because we have a shop in Cumberland where we feature artists. So if you're ever interested in sending prints our way, we look for different artists of different styles. But Tea Party, we're actually doing the workshop. So if anyone is listening for that too and you're interested in finding out more about Mad Tea Party Jam, I highly suggest checking them out at AppalachianJamWitch.com. We will be looking for some workshop instructors and different things like that. So you'll be able to also see Gavin and his art. So it's a great time. It's a good weekend.
Mad Tea is actually a really special one for me. So last year I went for the first year and I actually went out with Vince to be his assistant for doing installations.
Nice.
So I don't know if you saw there was the big keyhole entry and then the rabbit hole entry to the main stage. But we built those, and that was kind of my first big installation build. And so talking with Taco and Elise, and I'm actually going to be coming back this year, and Vince and I are going to be in charge of doing a lot of the festival pre-build, a lot of installation stuff before the festival, and then during the festival, be live painting, of course.
Yay! Well, I look forward to hanging out pre-festival and during the festival. Is there anything else that you would you'd like to discuss? I know we've mentioned Tea Party, and I really hope that you think about joining us for Crystal Chalice Awards this year. We had some live painters, and as I said, if anyone's listening, check out Gavin's art. You'll have access to it on projectbringmetolife.com, as well as looking at it from his website, which is gavingonzoart.com, and you can send us some feedback for Crystal Chalice Award nominees. But is there anything else that you're working on or you want to share?
I think let's see. I think that about covers it. I mean, the Zodiac series has definitely been the biggest thing in my life, and yeah, I'm looking forward to touring, and yeah, life is good.
Life is good. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that we got connected before you go on tour. This has been a long time coming. We've been working on getting you interviewed. You were nominated last year, actually, for Crystal Chalice Awards. And thinking about it, we wanted to get you on, but you were on tour then. So you're a busy artist, and we love when artists take time to share their story. So thank you for that, and we look forward to seeing you. So anyone listening, thanks for waking up and shining on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for listening, everybody. If you're interested, check out my website and let me know if you have any questions or anything. Love to talk to people, so.
Cool deal. Till next time. Thanks for shining on with us.